You're watching Alaska's news source.
We have breaking news tonight in downtown Anchorage. Police have closed down several streets while responding to a disturbance at the Hotel Captain Cook. Alaska's news source has teams stationed downtown to bring you team coverage on this situation and all the details that we know as of right now. Let's go first to Patrick Enzo. Patrick, can you tell us what happened today to draw this big of a police presence downtown?
Well, Rebecca, we got here shortly before 4 o'clock, and there was a large presence. As you mentioned, there was officers in marked cars and in unmarked cars. They had bulletproof vests along with rifles out, and there's no confirmation as of what happened. We did talk to a person who was inside the Captain Cook, Erin Johnson, and she told us what's happening inside.
So my understanding, and I haven't looked at all the exits, I was not allowed to leave towards K Street. They seem to be police surrounding all sides of the building, but I believe you can exit the opposite direction. Unfortunately, my car is just at K Street, so I'm not going anywhere.
Before, all the way out to 7th, there was a police presence with APD, but that's slowly starting to get closer and closer to Captain Cook. You'll see behind me there is an officer, and that's 5th and K right there. And it's 5th and K, and then on the other side on 4th and K, officers are slowly starting to get closer and closer to Captain Cook. Before they were stretched all the way out to 7th, but now it's kind of letting more traffic through. And she mentioned she was parked. We ran into a few people here who are trying to get into their cars on K Street, but due to the police presence, they were unable to. Right before we came on for this 5 o'clock hit, they were slowly starting to let folks who are getting off work to get back into their cars. Now, while they were waiting, a lot of them were looking up towards the top of the Captain Cook building, and they told me on the 2nd floor, they started to see a police presence, but that's about all they saw. And out here, more or less, there's just a lot of curiosity of what's going on. A lot of these officers are very calm, and there's just a little bit of attention and a curiosity of what's exactly going on down here. Rebecca?
Thank you, Patrick. Next, we'll head out to reporter Steve Kirch. And Steve, can you tell us what's happening right now in downtown where you are?
Yeah, Rebecca, right now I'm at the corner of 4th and K, and as you can see behind me, there's an officer, there is a police presence, they're wearing helmets, they have rifles out, and they're paying very close attention to the upper towers of Captain Cook. Now, also behind me, there's a list of businesses. I had an opportunity to go inside of some of the businesses and find out how they're feeling right now. One business owner told me that she was shocked by what was going on when she saw officers coming in, blocking off the area. She didn't know if she should go home, if she should stay in her business and lock the door. Another business owner told me that she was informed of what was happening when someone who was staying at Captain Cook called her and canceled her reservation. And she was totally shocked also by what she was hearing. And I also had the opportunity to talk to another business owner at Palmini, and this is what he told me about what police officers told him when they came by his business.
They told us possibly to please stay away from the windows. We have a possible active shooter in the Captain Cook. They didn't tell us where in the Captain Cook. At that point, a bunch more police officers showed up, helmets, rifles drawn. They blocked off the streets. They had people behind cars with rifles over here behind me, and it's been that way ever since.
Now, Rebecca, I can tell you right now in this area right now, it is very calm. There's not a lot of people walking around, but there are people walking around, and many are just walking around asking anyone they meet, hey, what's going on? Can you tell me what's going on? And a lot of them are looking for answers to their questions. Now, I can also tell you that me and my photographer, we were up the street over here, and officers told us to get out of the way, stay out of view, because they don't know what exactly is going on at Captain Cook. But we will give you updates as they become valuable to us. Rebecca, back to you.
Thanks for keeping us to date. Definitely a scary situation. A lot of people right now still in downtown, leaving for the afternoon for this Friday evening. So certainly still a lot of questions, and you can stay informed on the go with breaking news and weather alerts from Alaska's news source and Alaska's weather source. Just scan the QR code with an iPhone or iPad to download the Alaska News Source News app to receive alerts with breaking and developing news. The Alaska's Weather Source app features radar maps, severe weather alerts, your 10-day forecast, and much more. Again, download the news and weather apps. Just scan the QR code on your screen and click on the links provided. It's a big weekend for many, and those clouds are there today. May you have you just a little bit concerned. For the first look at the weekend forecast, let's check in with meteorologist Joe Bartosik in the Weather Center.
And Rebecca, you are correct there. Again, those clouds are a much different story than what we've been dealing with all of the better part of this week with all that sunshine. The temperatures are still seasonable, though, into the lower 40s. But let's go ahead and take a live look outside from our Glen Alps camera down towards Sleeping Lady, which you can't really see. It's being obscured by A, the low clouds, but B, also some streamers that you might see if you look very closely coming out of those clouds. But that's what we call virga, precipitation that is falling from the clouds but evaporating before it reaches the ground. The air is just too dry in the lower levels of the atmosphere. Plus, a southeast breeze at 16 miles an hour is a downsloping wind off of the Chugach Range, so that helps to further dry out the air. Our dew point's at 23, which is roughly half of the temperature. So again, only half the lower levels is filled with moisture to accommodate any of that moisture as it tries to reach the ground. Temperatures, as I mentioned, seasonable into the mid-40s from the airport to outside of our studio at 46 degrees. And we're looking at temperatures around 44. New Seward and Huffman up toward Muldoon as well. As we take a look at, again, that moisture continuing to try to work its way northward across the Kenai Peninsula. Not having much luck, thanks again to that drier air in place. Palmer's at 47 degrees. You can see whatever is reaching the ground could even be a few wet snowflakes out there, and we'll see that continuing into the higher elevations again tomorrow. Otherwise, a mixture of clouds and some sunshine both Saturday and Sunday, although I think Sunday we'll see more in the way of sun rather than clouds. And then heading on into Monday, probably more partly again, mostly sunny conditions with temperatures into the lower 40s. We've got a double feature in the skies tonight here for you. If you haven't heard about it already, we'll talk more about that along with the 7-day forecast with the number you're hoping for, Rebecca, in a few more minutes.
That's my favorite number, Joe.
Yeah.
Today is Good Friday, an important day on the Christian calendar, and many Anchorage Catholics took part in the Good Friday Faith Walk. Photojournalist Kim Danke takes us there.
Today, Good Friday, and this is the Good Friday Faith Walk, where we'll go through the stations that commemorate each part of the Jesus' walk to Calvary. Oh, sacred head surrounded by crown of piercing thorn. For Catholics, this is the ultimate time of the year that we celebrate for our faith, salvation. Today is Good Friday, commemorating Jesus' death on the cross, and leading towards Sunday, Easter Sunday, is resurrection from the dead and our salvation. Thy crown of piercing thorn. A very, very holy time of the year, a very holy thing that we can share in Christ's death, because we want to share in his resurrection. Well, it's part of my faith walk and just helps me more fully participate and get into the feel of what this is all about. And we end at the Performing Arts Center, where all of the different parishes that have different faith walks throughout town will gather. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. It is a very strengthening and, it's just a good sense of solidarity and peace. It's the whole archdiocese here, and this is happening all over the world. This is a universal thing, the commemoration of Good Friday.
When we come back, climate change in the Arctic will tell you about a new report released outlining the U.S. military's preparedness.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Well, a new report from the Inspector General of the Department of Defense shows how unprepared U.S. military bases in the Arctic and subarctic are when it comes to climate change. According to the report, these bases are failing to prepare their installations for long-term climate change as required, despite high temperatures and melting ice that's already cracking base runways and roads and worsening risks of floods in the north. For years, Laws, presidential orders, and Pentagon rules have mandated that the military start planning and working so that its installations, warships, warplanes, and troops can carry out their mission despite the challenges caused by global warming. But inspectors visiting the United States' 6 northernmost military bases last June and July found none were carrying out the required assessments and planning to prepare their installations and operations against long-term climate change. Now, one of the bases is in Greenland and the other 5 are in Alaska. They are Thule Air Base, Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, Clear Space Force Station, Eielson Air Force Base, Fort Wainwright, and Fort Greely. And according to the report, leaders from 5 of the 6 bases said their day-to-day focus was on reacting to immediate problems or reducing risks to existing hazards rather than planning for future hazards. The Associated Press did reach out to the Pentagon spokesperson today, but did not immediately respond to a request for a comment.
And coming up after the break, I'll have a look at that 7-day forecast as well with a look at a double feature. The skies tonight, but skies outside right now, a little cloudy. We'll let you know if they'll clear up this weekend.
You're watching Alaska's Weather Source.
All right, lots going on in the skies throughout much of South Central, as well as on into North America, heading on in through the start of this big holiday weekend. First off is the pink moon. And it's also the Paschal moon, as again is the first full moon after the vernal and spring equinox. Thanks very much to David Baker for sending us this photo. It's a very close-up and elongated view, but you can clearly see all the different features of the lunar surface. As we take a look at feature number 2, again, or one more time about the moon, it will rise at 8:06 this evening and 9:48 tomorrow. It reaches its fullest at 10:55 tomorrow morning. And again, that's where it gets, it's also known as the pink moon and the Paschal moon for the reasons that I already mentioned. All right, feature number 2 will be the aurora with a geomagnetic storm that is taking place thanks to a large solar flare that spread out from the sun earlier in the week. We're going to see partly cloudy skies across much of South Central, northward on into the central part of the state, on into southwestern areas of the state as well. And that KP index, which was a little higher even yesterday, even last night, now down to a 4 currently, will continue to drop down to a 3 as we head into tomorrow morning. But like last week, even a 3 can put on a spectacular show. If you see any of those 2 events tonight and you want to capture a photo, we'd love for you to send it in. You can do so by making sure that you have the Alaska Weather Source app handy on your phone. And you can also check out the latest sky condition forecast hour by hour, as again, sky conditions will play a crucial role as to whether how much of either event you see tonight. Now again, clouds might discourage you out there this evening, but don't give up hope. We'll see drier air continuing to work in the lower to mid levels of the atmosphere. That might help to scour out some of the cloud covers we had further along in through the overnight hours. Meanwhile, it's still very much winter across the North Slope on into the Arctic coast as well, where we have winter weather advisories as well as blizzard warnings for mostly wind that's blowing and drifting around. Again, that snow that's still lingering along the ground there. So again, you don't need snow falling to create blizzard conditions. It's again, those high gusty winds of around 30 to 60 miles an hour that will just cause low visibility just from the snow blowing around in and of itself. That's all part of a large storm system that's swirling across the central Bering, large plume of moisture wrapping on in from the Gulf of Alaska, of course, with ties all the way down into the Pacific. For us in Anchorage, that wind is a downsloping wind. So again, that's helping to evaporate a lot of the moisture that is trying hard to reach down toward the ground. In addition to the moisture, low pressure, high pressure, the difference between the 2 creates the wind, and that's what we're seeing across western portions of the state around Deadhorse, around 44-mile-an-hour wind gusts today. That storm system will continue to weaken as it lifts off to the north, but again, residual moisture will continue to linger, unfortunately, mainly along coastal areas in the mountains south and east of town as we head on in through your weekend. So clouds and sunshine will be the battle in South Central. More sun, but increasing clouds across southeast with temperatures rising on into generally the middle and even upper 40s, and even a few locations around 50 degrees. We'll continue to hold into the mid 40s from Kodiak, where we could see a rain and snow mix, especially in the morning, on up toward the Seward area, when we'll see temperatures into the lower 40s. As we head on into the rest of your weekend, 45 here in town, 43 on Sunday, mid-40s for the early to middle part of the week, but still some chilly mornings, Rebecca, into the upper 20s.
Thank you, Joe. Still ahead, spring is a messy business in Alaska, but in this week's forecast, Ellie Beatty shows us how easy it is to keep your pooch clean. That's up next. And this week's forecast, Ellie Beatty got a little dirty to show us how easy it is to clean your pooch.
I'm at University Lake Dog Park, and as you can tell, it is springtime in Alaska, which means it's also extra tough season and mud season. Hi, Bab is my 5-year-old dog. She is a blue heeler Australian Shepherd, and she is lovely, even covered in mud. But all this mud and gunk does not mean that you shouldn't take your dog out. It just means when you do take your dog outside, you have to be prepared. The hazards of a happy dog. Come on, load up. And after you have a fun time getting muddy at the park and your dog needs a bath, but you don't want to dirty your bathroom, you can head over to one of the self-service dog stations around town. Kaibab and I are at the Monster Wash on Diamond. This particular self-service station at Monster Wash is open 24 hours a day, and they actually provide everything except for a towel. It is shedding season, so I'm just gonna give Kaibab a quick brush down. She's like, I'm not a fan of this, and I'm stressed, but she's gonna be clean. I'm gonna do hypoallergenic, and I'm gonna use some of the shampoo that I also brought. This is a nice hose. Oh, it has shampoo already in it? This is gonna get messy. Get those paws that were all muddy. Don't be shy. Wash the rump too. This is actually so convenient. I'm gonna rinse now. Oh, it's even warm for those cold Alaska days. Clip them in with their collar so you're not worried about them jumping out and hurting themselves. This is so convenient, I may never wash my dogs in my bathroom again. Okay, Kaibab. Now we're gonna blow dry you. We'll do blow dry first. And you're gonna smell so good, and your little brother's gonna smell stinky. Because he didn't come with us today. We'll turn that off. Good girl. Good girl. Now you shake yourself off, and I will dry you further. Good girl. Well, I'm dirty, but Kaibab is clean, so it's time to go home.
I love how Kaibab is so put out by this experience. Here's what's coming up on Nightly News.
Right now, we're following the school that could be connected to more than 100 cases of brain tumors spanning decades. The testing now underway. And a cost increase at Amazon, what it means for your online shopping. Ahead on Nightly News.
Mike Ross joins us with the story coming up tonight at 6.
Rebecca, tonight at 6, we're going to take you to the weather lab. The students at Fire Lake Elementary School had so many questions for Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry. And in this week's Weather Lab segment, the more they learned, the more curious they became. We started off as a Weather 101 class, quickly became an advanced placement course for thermometers to radar and even thunder. We'll have that coming up at 6.
It's definitely a cute one. Thanks, Mike. Heading into the Easter weekend, animal activists are asking families not to use living animals to celebrate the holiday.
The National Humane Education Society says retailers usually sell rabbits at low prices during the spring, but there are real consequences that come with buying them. They say families can expect their new fluffy pet to come with a 10-year commitment, will cost thousands of dollars in supplies and veterinary care, and will lead to hours of cleaning and safekeeping.
Now, all this can leave families overwhelmed and eventually lead them to surrendering the animals to pet shelters.
Don't buy any live animals for Easter. Rabbits, chicks, don't do it. They're not gifts. They're pets. They're part of the family.
Absolutely. And instead of giving living rabbits and chicks, groups suggest sticking to the edible version of them, like those chocolate rabbits, eggs, and peeps. And you've got that final look at that Easter forecast.
Love my peeps. I've not yet had a peep yet, though, this holiday season. That might change this weekend. All right, 45 as we head into the day tomorrow. I think more clouds than sunshine. We'll reverse that for Easter Sunday as some drier air from the north and east begins to work in thanks to a little push of high pressure. And then we'll see mostly sunny skies for Monday, 43. Lots of sunshine, wall-to-wall sunshine, I like to call it, on Tuesday, 45. Still some chilly mornings in the early part of the week. But note the end of the week, Friday, your favorite number. We're trying to get there, 50 degrees. We're going to see if we can get it this time by the end of the week.
Happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter to you. Enjoy your weekend.
You too. Have a great weekend, everyone.